Welcome to another video from DIY Daily. Just put together a full step-by-step guide video, just running you through how to replace the starter motor on this 2008 Volkswagen Polo. This one's the 1.4 petrol engine. Now, the starter motor is reasonably easy to replace. You don't need a ramp to do it. It's just located. We're going to access it all from on top. All we're going to really move is this pipe. In a minute, we'll just run you through everything a step at a time. Anyway, but we'll just show you the starter motor. You can just see the starter motor's basic 2-bolt fitting on it, on the end there, and then we've just got the trigger wire connector which just goes on there, and then we're going to have one more fitting which is the main live which just goes on there. So it's quite a straightforward job to get out once we've got everything stripped out. Now, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, just click on the red subscribe button below to make sure you don't miss out on any future content. We've got quite a few other videos on some of the VAG group stuff as well you might want to check out. We're just getting cracked on with the job now. The first thing we're going to do, just for access, is just remove this top pipe there. Now, you can probably do this with just undoing this top piece and just moving it out of the way, but just for the video, I'm going to take the full pipe off. But all we really need to do it, just got a little Torx 25 there. You can use a screwdriver or a socket bit, but 2 Torx screws there. And then just going to use some pliers just to pinch that connection up there and just get this pipe out of the way. And just before doing anything, when doing a starter motor, you always want to make sure that you're disconnecting the battery as well. So we're just going to take one of the terminals off the battery, just the negative lead there, just going to slacken off the 10mm, then we can just move that out of the way. It's just what the main wire to the starter motor is a permanent live. So once you disconnect that, if that touches anything, any earth, it's going to spark against it. So you always want to make sure you disconnect your battery before doing anything with a starter motor. And just what, 10mm for the battery there. Right, so now that we've got that pipe off, we can now see the starter motor. Now, it's not going to be the best sort of access for filming this. There's a few pipes in the way, but we don't want to be disconnecting any of these to take them out because the water pipes, obviously we're going to get antifreeze everywhere, and then we'll have to top the antifreeze up and bleed the system up. So just going to work around the pipes. It's quite easy, just going to make it a little bit trickier for filming it, that's all. But looking at the starter motor, the top fitting is just on this other side of this pipe there. Now basically this is the earth wire to it there. So we're just going to undo that 13mm, then we can take the earth wire out of the way. We'll do that first. And then just on the back, I've got the connector just there, if I can just focus on it. And I'm just going to use a little flat bladed screwdriver just to push that little red tab back. Looks like it's already back actually at the minute, but you might find it's a little bit more forward. Someone's left it in the sort of back position, but you'll just flick it back and we'll get the screwdriver in there just to flick it down and pop the connector off. I'll just try to show you that. And then there's actually a plastic protective cap over the positive wire there, so we'll just try and wiggle that off and just show you. And simply just a little protective cap, that's all, just over the end there. So we'll just take that off for now, and then we can undo that 13mm there and get that wire off as well. So we'll just get the main live wire off, then the earth wire off, then we'll get this connector off, and then once we've got all that out of the way, I'll just run you through the actually unbolting the main fixing bolts after that. Main connector's off. We're now just going to crack the earth wire off. So that's the earth wire out of the way. Now I'm just going to do the main live, just another 13mm again. That's the main live wire there. This is the main reason of disconnecting the battery. If the battery was still connected, this would have 12 volt there, and if that leant over and touched any of the body or any of the metal bits, it'd just be shorting it out and arcing out against it. So with it disconnected, it's nice and safe, you ain't got to worry about that. So we just took that out of the way. Just obviously make sure it's not it's pretty self-explanatory not to do it, but obviously sometimes starter motors, the earth is just where it bolts up directly and doesn't have a separate lead. But with it having 2 leads, obviously just make sure you keep them separate and you know which one's which. Now that we've got all the main connections off, next thing we're going to do is undo the main fixing bolts to the starter motor. We'll start with the easiest one, the top one there with the stud on it, and you're going to want an 18mm spanner just to crack that off and get that undone. So we'll take that one out first, then we'll go on to the more awkward bottom one. It's not bad to access, but it'll be a little bit trickier to film. It's just down the bottom there, that's all. Right, so that's the first bolt out now. We've got it fully out. I'm just going to wait till the starter motor's off. It's just the gear lever piece is a little bit in the way. Now to start with, it was in 4th gear, which left this bit around there. So I've just put it into 3rd gear, which just moves it out of the way. But it's still just a little bit tight to get out. It's all undone and everything. If I just leave it like that now, once I've undone the bottom bolt, wiggled it out, it'll be quite easy just to get it out then. So it was a bit tight just to crack off, so just doubled up the spanner just to give me a bit more leverage on it. Now the next one's going to be a little bit trickier to film. I'm just basically going to use, I think I use a socket on an extension. Might just unclip this wire to access it. But the bottom one, I think it should be an 18mm again. It's just located on the underside of it. Again, it's not actually as bad as it looks to access, but it's going to be a little bit tricky to film it, that's all. But I'll just get it out and just show you what the best tool to get on it was. And that's the bottom one out. You can see it's quite a long one. And the bottom one, didn't realise earlier on, but I did forget about it. It has actually got a 13mm on there, the same as the top one. Now that just holds a little bracket. So all I did, just to get on the 13mm, a little ratchet with the 13mm on it, just to crack that off. Once it's cracked off, you could spin it off fairly easy by hand. And then to get the main one out, 18mm socket on just a shortish extension just to get in there. It was quite tight, that bottom one. I think it's the original starter motor on this one. It's been on a fair while, but once I've cracked it off, just with a little bit of a wiggle of the starter motor, you can then just spin the bolt out by hand. But now that that's out, ready to pull the starter motor out. Right, so we've now got the starter motor out, and I'll just show you a couple of bits. Now that the starter's out of the way, we can see them a bit better. But the bracket that we had to undo, it's just this one there. Basically that just holds onto that bottom fixing with a little 13mm. You can just see, just put the camera down there. It just mounts up just with that little hole there with a 13mm on the end of that stud there. And the top bolt for the starter motor, the reason it's really awkward to get out is just this little bracket there with the gear change. Now earlier on I put it into 4th gear, which just moves this piece back to get it out of the way. But once you've got the starter bolt slack and the bottom one out as well, if you then put it back into neutral, when it's in neutral, you can lift this selector piece up and down, and if you just sort of just hold it upwards, you can just gives you enough room to squeeze the bolt out past the bottom. I was just looking at the starter motor. You can see it is a Volkswagen starter motor, so there's a good chance it is the original one. You can see it's a Valeo one, but it's got the proper Volkswagen number on there. Now this guy's owned this car pretty much most of its life. It was his dad's that had owned it before that, and he wasn't aware of it having a starter motor before, so I'm pretty sure it's the original one. But all we're going to do quickly is just check it to the new one, just make sure the fixings look right, the connector looks right, and same style fitting on there. But so there's not many choices on these, but I'll put a link to one in the description below anyway. All I'm going to do now is just speed through getting the new ones put into place, just all bolted up, get the connectors on, get the battery terminal back on, and we'll just check it quick, make sure it's working okay. So just fly through that step now. So the starter motor's got the main fixing bolts in now, all nipped up. Now they do want to be reasonably tight, a good nip on them. I don't want to be too tight, but they do want a decent nip. I've just done both of them. I've just left, we've got the main supply, the earth wire, and the little trigger connector to go on at the minute. I just thought I'd just show you quickly as well. Now it is the bottom bolt, if you are using a ramp, it is a lot easier. I'd have probably just got access that from underneath. You can get on it a little bit easier. But I just thought I'd do this video all from on top so that it covers anyone that's just doing it on the drive and they've not got it jacked up or anything like that. But basically now that that's there, we did just use a pry bar. It's just that top bolt. It's probably one of the more awkward bits of the job. It's not bad to do at all really, but just this bracket does get in the way a little bit. The bolt's a bit tight to get in because it's so long, and just put the pry bar behind the bolt just to literally, with lifting that up, just giving it a little bit of force just to push it through and in. That's all. It's just a little bit tight under there. But at this stage now, we'll just put them other wires on, just get that little plastic guard back on, get that battery connected up, then we're ready to start it up and try it. Right, so everything's all back together now. We've got the little pipe back on the top. The battery's refitted now. We're just ready to give it a crank now. Just make sure it sounds okay. Obviously, because this was like an intermittent fault, it wasn't always engaging. I'm just going to try it about 5 or 6 times just to make sure it's definitely okay. Guys, and just see, tried that 5 times there, started spot on every time. Before, it was just making like a squealing noise, not always engaging, and it'd do it quite regularly. It was like 1 in every 3 or 4 goes that it'd actually turn over and work okay. So, but I just thought I'd put that guide together, see if it helps someone, if they was wanting to have a go at theirs. You can quite easily do it on your drive. You don't need a ramp, you can do it all from on top. But if you check out the links in the description below, I'll put links to all the tools and everything used as well. But yeah, I hope the video helped. Don't forget to check out some of the other content on the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.